All right, we got that one on. Okay, good. All right, so welcome everybody. We'll start in 4 minutes. Okay, we're going to give some time for people to join, and then we'll begin. We'll get everything on the go here because there's not too much information for today's class, but I'm going to give you a assignment, so stick around and I will tell you more about it. Okay, thank you. Okay. Start. Let me just check one more thing, and I'll be right back. I'll just go upstairs. Oh, I know. I have it in mind. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. So, welcome to the class. Welcome to the show. So thank you guys for joining. First and foremost, I do appreciate your attendance and your interest in our class as always. So for today, what I am going to talk about is the other side. If you guys recall, in the first part of our class, we talked a little bit about HR, okay? And we understand that HR is an important part of many faculty, any because what they do a lot of times is they focus on getting you to understand a little bit more on the area of making sure that the worker is compensated properly. The worker has a department that speaks for them. The worker knows exactly what their duties are. But they can also be a little bit traumatic because in some cases, they can fire people. They can let people go. Okay. And the event of HR, you do, Grace. The event of HR is nothing new, and HR, can protect you, but can also not protect you. And it's kind of weird, but there are a lot of organizations, especially those in the public sector, that have a union, and the union represents the workers. Okay, so it's a bunch of workers coming together and asking for more rights. Okay, and it's nothing new. When unions started, you went to work and there was places at work that did not pay you, places of work that were very dangerous, places of work that ruined your health. Okay, and they realized that this became a problem. Okay, so union started to form, and the union said that we want union rights. We want rights for all the employees. Okay, so a lot of times you are part of what we call the bargaining table, the bargaining unit, and you can be represented part of a union to bargain with the organization to let them know exactly what they are and how to deal with it. Okay. So a lot of times, whenever we look at the union, okay, a lot of times within the union, we have two major catalysts, and the major catalyst is that first and foremost, the union will make sure that your salary is protected, your job is protected, and so forth. Okay, they cannot simply let you go. Right. Another thing the union does is they protect the workers. They protect the workers' rights. Okay. They want to make sure that the worker is not injured. Okay. You can only imagine. And let's talk about 100 years ago. People did not have rights at work. Okay. The work was tedious. It was long. They were hiring, minors. They were hiring, people that would get injured, hurt, killed, and there was no compensation. Okay. It became a problem. So unions started to form, and union is kind of like the anti-HR because HR and union, even management, they clash a lot of times, and we see this all the time, where the workers go on strike, and as a result, because there's a strike, it will delay something. Okay, so a lot of times we're going to explain why worker unions and unionizations and what it does and how unions are structured, and we're going to describe the collective bargaining process and what this means for us. So we're also going to discuss the key terms associated with union management and issues such as mediation, arbitration, and understanding a little bit more about what they are and how they are going to be dealing with it. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about key terms on union management and understand that you might be part of a union, might be going against union. How does management deal with unions, different issues, and how do we deal with a middle power, mediation, arbitration when it comes down to unionization. We're also going to identify the tactics used by each side. So we're going to look at the support in its negotiation position, how they strike, they picket, boycott, and do walkouts. And then, sorry, we're going to be looking a little bit more into what unions are. Okay, so again, I explained to you guys what unions are. Union, what they have is a pyramidal structure that's much like a large corporation. That you have a CEO at the top, and then you have people on the bottom. And at the bottom, you have locals that serve as workers in a particular geographical area. As a result, what happens in unions is that negotiations start when each side states its position and presents its demand. As it's most negotiation, that these opening demands simply stake out the starting position. what they are, what they're given, and how they're mediated. If unfortunately negotiation stalls, what happens is the side may call an outsider and say, listen, can somebody come in and be the middleman and say what is fair here? Okay. And another difference between union and non-union environment is handling the grievances. Okay. Things like worker complaints, on contract related matters, and protecting the employees and the welfare at the end of the day. So exactly what are unions? Unions, again, they're a structure representing the workers as a large, meaning that the workers, they can negotiate the pay, but they have, the right to say what their, collective bargaining agreement is, and of course, what their pay scale is based on seniority, based on their term, based, of course, on their bracket. Okay, so there's a lot of things that go into a salary, and a lot of times the salary is an important part of the collective bargaining agreement. Okay. Then again, you have the negotiation process, and under the negotiation process, you have a lot of things that you negotiate with, and a lot of times you may ask, I want 2% raise, or we want 10% raise, okay, or we want something more, and you go not as one person, but as many. Okay, and they may tell you if you want 10% raise, you got to give something up for it. Okay, and that's where we kind of negotiate here and decide with HR, management, and so forth, what we can do and how we can do it. Okay, and sometimes we never get to an agreement. You want 100%, I want to give you 50%. What's the middle ground? 75%? Maybe 75% is not happy for many of you guys. So you go to a voting right, and many of you said we don't want 75%. We want 100%, but 100% is impossible. So you have to come to a certain agreement. You have to give something up to get something in return. So there's a lot of mediation, arbitration to go in. There's a lot of grievances that will go all together. And sometimes, maybe a manager mistreats you. Maybe there's a issue at work itself, and there are different grievances that must be held all together. Okay. Nonetheless, of course, union has tactics. If they don't get what they want, they'll complain. And a lot of times what they do when they complain, unfortunately, they do what we call union tactics, okay? They may slow down the production. They may, have, discussions about it. They may do something, but most cases, a union strategy is to do a strike, to make everybody walk out of their job, or those who are union walk out of their job and say, whatever happens, it's not fair. And as a result, okay, they want to make sure that the voice is being heard. Okay, so striking members might picket. Okay, might decide, what, picketing is a good option. They might go out and protest for a couple hours, come back to work, or might decide that they want to, boycott the organization, telling them that they're not listening to the workers, and not listening to our demands, and as a result, we want more. Okay. Another important part is that they may also, reduce productivity. Okay, so they're required to do 100 units a day. They got to turn it down to about 75 units until an agreement is reached. Okay, and that also infuriates management, including HR. A lot of times with HR, what they do is they do lockouts. They can even lock out the workers and realize that workers are not doing what's needed and take them out of their job. Or in many cases, to be fair, they do something called the strike breakers, where they bring in legislation from the government, okay, government rules, and they tell you you're forced to come back to work. Okay, and that's very possible in many organizations, many institutions, such as education board. After a certain while, the government may introduce a work to rule legislation that tells them, listen, after you picketed, we heard you, come back to the table, but yet you're forced to come back to work. Okay, and remember that when you go on strike, you don't get full pay. Okay, so a lot of times you pay the union, and then let's say you get paid $30 an hour, they'll pay you the minimal, like maybe $8 an hour to pick it. Okay, so you still have to be there. You still have to pick it. You still have to work for the union, but you're not getting a full-time salary pay. Okay, so you have to decide for yourself how long do you want to stay in the picket line. Okay, and sometimes one of the things that they would recommend is that they say, listen, we came to an agreement. Let's negotiate. However, can we make sure that you pay whoever employee the remainder of their hourly salary because they missed a week of work because they were picking. Okay, so these are some tactics that happen, and even though we talk a little bit about the tactics of union, one thing you should remember here is that every so often there's a strike, there's a walkout, there's a disagreement, then there's a resolution, and you think everything is good. However, it only lasts for maybe about 4 to 5 years. Afterwards, something else will happen. Okay, so you have to remember that change is always happening, and many times, many workers will go on strike multiple times in their career until they get the right resolution here. Okay. So the history of unions, as I mentioned, is a really interesting one. A long time ago, many workers were not allowed to voice their opinion on their work environment. They weren't allowed to go in and decide that this is the work that they want to do. So as a result, what occurred here is that the managers started taking advantage of them. Okay, they started telling them that you just pay, you don't get any raise, you don't get any benefits, you have to work in the holidays, you have to work in really bad conditions, you have to work when you're sick, when you're poor, when you need to take care of people, and people really got ill. They got sick, they got ill, they had no rights. Especially when you look at very dangerous positions, for example, like construction. There's always pictures, 100 years ago, how they build, towers, and you see people, just sitting on a crane with no harness, no nothing, and that was dangerous. Okay, every single week in every city that was booming at that time in the 1920s or 30s, people fell to their death, workers. Okay, and what we had is that the worker assumed the risk. Okay, you take a risk. Okay, if you are working, it's your risk, it's your responsibility. And a lot of people didn't see it as fair. Okay, they were like, you could make this better, but you're not. Okay, all you're trying to do is focus on profits and money. So they formed a union, and a lot of times unions were banned. Okay, unions were not allowed. In fact, even today, many companies, they have such a good HR that they do not want unions, and they even ask the workers, "I'm giving you all these benefits. Do you want to join union or not?" And many of them said, "No, I'd rather trust you guys," because a lot of times unions take money. There's problems with fraud, and sometimes there's organized crime that deals with unions in some parts. People do not like unions. Even sometimes unions jump into politics. All of a sudden, there's a problem, in one country, a human rights issue, and they're like, "Yeah, we care about it." It's like, what about caring about me? Okay, don't care about what happens in some country which is not affecting us. Okay, so unions became a little bit of a good side, bad side thing, where you see some people enjoying it and saying, I'm protected as a worker. And a lot of times, working in a union place makes things a lot easier. There's no rush out there. You don't finish the work, that's okay. You make a mistake, that's not a problem. There's a lot of things you can do here, okay? But the idea here is that whenever you're looking at the history of unions, a lot of times what we're looking at is some form of workers' rights, okay? And a lot of times, unfortunately, like I mentioned, HR a long time ago, even when we had unions, they were the people's department. They were the department that cared about the workers. Today, they let people go, and they have no ramification. The only ramification they have is maybe legal, and sometimes it's hard to go the legal route. Okay, so you have a lot of problems. You have a lot of problems going on in unions, and unfortunately, unions can be a good thing for many people. It could be a bad thing for many people. It's a mixed not out there, okay, and we have to deal with it on all different fronts and occasions. So a lot of times the history of unions was that, they formed as the right of the worker. But then, of course, the right of the worker was not always the same. And unfortunately, the workers decided that they want to strike and they want more rights. And the rights, of course, you get them when you join a union. And mind you guys, that on top of all your deductions, if you are part of a union, you have to pay a deduction every month. Okay, so they may take to be a member of a union, they may take something in a range of 30, 50, even $100 per pay, just so that they can become a union. And most of the time, when they go on strike, the union fund protects you. Okay, so if you go on a strike for a week, 2 weeks, they'll pay you maybe $5, $8, $10 an hour. Okay, and the idea here is that because you're on lockout, while we negotiate, we ask that for 4 or 5 hours you sit in the picket line with a sign and represent us, and you will pay you $8 an hour. Okay, and the goal is that we're in the table, we're negotiating, and if we get to an agreement, we'll get where we are. But as I mentioned to you, there is a lot of situations where unions are actually not allowed to join or be part of a workers' union. So some companies are private, some companies are limited liability, some companies are multinationals, and they even ask the workers, "Do you want to join the union?" They say no. Okay, a good example of that is you have a lot of unions representing workers who are making auto manufacturing plants in Ontario. So GM plant, Ford, Chrysler, they're all union, okay? And there's a lot of issues with them, okay? However, you also have other companies like Honda and Toyota, which is not unionized. And they tell the worker, you know what? I will enrich you. I will create new programs. I will make you happier in my company. However, it's your choice if you want to join union. Now, if you want to join union, you deal with them. You don't deal with me. Okay. So a lot of people said, no, we want to be part of you, and we get benefits and bonuses, and that's something unions sometimes do not offer. As I said, it is considering discrimination or unfair hiring treatment if HR hiring manager doesn't hire you because you're an existing member of a union, or they ask if you're part of the union or not. Well, if you're not working anywhere, you're not part of the union because you're not paying union fees. You may work at a company, Nathan, and then the company lets you go. And when they let you go and you're part of the union, then you're not part of that union anymore. Okay, but they cannot discriminate you on being in union. In most cases, they would not even ask you that. Okay, this goes in the line if you're still part of a union of some sort. This would go in the line of asking you for your age, your sexual orientation, your marriage status, and beyond that. Okay, so it's something that is not correct. But sir, you can apply for a job when you're still working, still part of a union. Sure, but I doubt that they would ask you for if you're part of a union. For example, I was part of OPSU, okay, and with OPSU, I was part of a government organization. When I left it, okay, I don't recall any places asking me, are you still part of the union? Normally, listen, Nathan, if you're coming from like a government position, they probably know based on your title and so forth, if they did the research, they'll probably know if you were unionized or not. Okay, so my position was clearly unionized. Okay, and it didn't stop me from going to the private sector. And now that I teach, I'm part of a teachers union. Okay, so there is a union on Centennial that's connected to the other schools. And what they do a lot of times is that they connect every single individual, okay, so that they represent us. Okay, so when you hear, for example, Nathan, I hope it doesn't happen, but if teachers go on strike, okay, this means, of course, that it's not that I want to go on strike, it's that everybody agreed on a voting right that we want to go on strike. But if I was to leave, teaching and go back into the private sector, normally they wouldn't ask you, but clearly if they see that I have on my resume teaching position and they see unionized, no, normally they can tell, but I doubt that they use it as a form of discrimination. Okay. There's other discrimination that are even more serious, but this one definitely is not. Okay. So clearly, there are some people who did enjoy it. Unions were very, very important in the 1920s, 1950s, 70s, and beyond. But now we realize that union membership is not that popular. Nobody wants to join. Okay, we work in a area that nobody cares so much about their position, and a lot of people are willing to take contractual position, temporary positions, project positions, and so forth. Is union still important? And it's hard to put 1 second. Sorry about that. It's hard to put a figure on it because when you start to look on unionization, hold on, let me just go back to our slide. When you start to look about unionization, okay, one of the most important factors that we need to look for, okay, is we want to look for the area of, if this is the right key for us or not, okay? So a lot of times, many people are asking, what is the future of a union? Is a union still relevant anymore? And the reality is that union membership in Canada and the United States have been declining, since the 1990s. Okay, in Canada, the unionization rate was, 37.6% of workers in 1980s were union. Okay, and that went down to roughly about 25% by last decade. Okay, so the question is, will membership continue to decline, causing unions to lose more power and not become relevant? Okay, there are companies who decide, let's stop, having a union. Union doesn't help us. And like I mentioned to you, in some unions, there's a rift. Okay, especially when you look at journals about unions in the auto industry, they have nothing to represent sometimes of the workers, and sometimes workers go against the union, and there's like a rift going on. It happens, okay, and there are people who say, listen, I'm part of the 5% who doesn't want to strike. I believe that the company is fair, but you're being aggressive on striking, and it creates this rift. And all of a sudden, you go on strike, and you realize that what is the point here? So people are asking, is union still popular? And the answer is that it's hard to tell. Okay, it's hard to tell because there's a lot of people who say, what, unions were very supportive and they were better than HR. But nowadays, unions are only nodding their head and they don't have much power like they did before. And it seems like it's a old school situation. Okay. So what I want you guys to do right now is, I know that it was a quick conversation about unions, but what I do want to do right now is take some time and kind of focus on what HR and unions mean for us. Okay. So a lot of times when you look at HR and unions, we start to understand that there is a difference. Okay, HR represents the organization. Okay, the organization, because many companies are big, and when we work for a big company, we cannot always track every single worker. So what do? We put them in departments, and we have HR working with us, HR communicating with us, HR being a part of us, okay? And the goal that we want to create here is to look at ways that we may be taking HR and hopefully using them for the right, emphasis. But as we mentioned, HR is not going to always, focus on, the workers' rights, okay? HR does things to make benefits and make sure that the worker stays forever. But at the end of the day, guys, HR is only one small facet. A lot of times, many people say, well, you know what? HR might not do anything. What should I do now? And a lot of people are saying, well, I rather want to become, a unionized member. And the unionization, guys, is because unionization is a better option for workers, okay? Especially workers who saw that, years ago, they're not being treated fairly, they're not being treated lightly, and of course, they want more rights altogether. Okay, so when you look at a private company, for example, some private companies they don't pay very competitive wages. Okay, when I was working for the government, the wage I was given as a part-time worker at that time was fantastic. I was like working full time. Not working full time hours, but I was working at full time pay almost. Okay, and it was fantastic. Okay, and they gave me the rights, but as well, the reason why I was getting these pay was because if I was to work with them, 5, 6 years ago, they would pay me a lot more money. Okay, they would pay me a lot more money what I was doing, and as a result, they paid me really nicely, but they took away a lot of my things. For example, I would be paid vacation pay for all the holidays, but what they've done is they added 4% every hour of my pay. So that compensated. So when you had me working part-time there, everybody else was getting paid for their breaks for the holidays. I was not. Okay. So I had to actually earn it, which was not too bad because now I would get paid on top of my salary 4%. And then the union went back and said, you know what, these people need 10%. Okay. So now they took something else away from me. So it's kind of a give or take. And a lot of times there's actually lawyers who sit down and look at the bargaining table and work in ways that can help the bargaining side. Okay, but it's your call if you want to be a union member, a union rep, or not. And at times, places that you really need to work on, use. If they go on strike, it can harm, your commute, can harm, sending your kids to school, can harm so many different things. And they definitely will make a lot of noise if they don't get the rights. Okay. All right. So what we're going to do right now, guys, I'm just going to stop the conversation. I have I usually called it the takeaway assignment, but irregardless, if you are in our 003 class or 018 class, it's the same exact work. And what I'm going to ask you guys to do here is that if you go down in our week number 12, I left you an in-class discussion question. Okay, and it's a very simple question. What you need to do here. Okay, so what you need to do. Okay, you will be asked, and you have some time to do it, to find a position online, a job position. Come back to me and write down what interests you about the position. That's the first kind of question, maybe a paragraph. Tell me what is your interest about the position and what terms are you looking for, okay? So maybe they don't tell you that the pay is $60,000. So assume you're looking for this much pay. What benefits are you looking for? Maybe they show you benefits. Maybe you want more benefits, okay? Maybe they only give you dental and health. Are you looking for chiropractor? Are you looking for, mental health benefits? Are you looking for eye vision? Are you looking for anything else? Are you looking for incentives? Do you want stock options? Do you want all these things? But you have to write down what you're looking for, okay? So number one, find a position. Go on Indeed, okay? Like I'm doing right now, Indeed.ca, okay? And find, for example, here we go, procurement manager. So you look at procurement manager, okay? And under procurement manager, okay, you look at the job description, what you like about it, and then you write down to me, this is what I like, and these are the benefits, but I also want, they give you dental care, extended health care, maybe I want vision, okay? Flexible language requirements, mentioned like before, that's good. Monday, Friday, maybe I want to only work Thursday. Who knows? Then you ask, where it is. Maybe it's far. Maybe they can give you a car. Okay. I'm just thinking about, small, cool things here. Okay. So what you're going to be doing here is you're going to be going to the question, and I'm going to ask what you like about the position you found and what terms you're looking for. Okay. So before you look at their terms and say, I like these terms, think about your terms. Okay. I want $100,000. I want benefits. I want incentives. I want, initial public offering. Okay. And also, if you see they have it or you don't have it, what can you negotiate here? And think about your terms that you came up with, and then say, well, you know what? I'm willing to take away maybe, the stocks if you're going to give me $120,000 more. Or sorry, instead of 100,000, 120,000. Okay. So I want to see that you can actually negotiate here. Okay. Because again, there's only two places that can negotiate and help you. HR can work with you on something, and also you can also work with union to decide on what you do. Okay. So please complete the assignment on the given time. I'll give you a week to do it. Okay. Maybe your fantasy job is not available today, maybe tomorrow, the next day, but please complete it. Okay. I would say, in my best opinion, it should take you maybe about 3 paragraphs. Okay. What you like about the position, what your terms about the position, maybe in point form, and what you're willing to negotiate with. Okay. And it's due, I believe, in both classes. It will be due on next week, okay? So I'll give you until April the 5th to complete it and get it to me. Any questions? Anybody have anything I can add here?
Teacher, sorry, how do we have to use the indeed.ca link?
Indeed.ca link.
Yeah.
If you want to use Indeed, you can use it. If you want to use another search engine, you can use it as well.
Okay.
You just find a random job. Think about your dream job. Whatever job you want after you're done school, you go on it, search it. I didn't search for a job. So let's say I want to be a fireman. Okay. So I look at emergency response maintainer, part-time firefighter at Durham College, whatever it is, you click on it, okay, and then you decide based on the position what you like about it, what your willing to, what your dream benefits should be, what you're willing to negotiate, and then you submit it to me. Okay, so fan mail. Second. None, sir. Thank you. So Prof, this is our another assignment. No, this is the in-class assignment, okay? But I'm giving you the whole week to complete it. Okay, I'm giving you until our next conversation to be able to complete it. All right, guys? So it's available for both the 003 class and the 018 class. All you need to do is find the job, put a link on it, tell me what you like about the job, tell me what interests you about the job. Tell me what your terms you're looking for prior to reading it, what you're willing to negotiate here, and then hopefully submit it to you. Yep, no problem. Okay, so I'm gonna give you time right now, guys. You have a good hour and a half. I want to make sure you guys not only will have time this week, but make sure you have time in class right now to complete it. I will be here available to help you guys out. And what we'll do is we'll come back to this and we'll revisit this very, very shortly. And I want to see that you can understand the job position and, of course, how HR union works with negotiation and your job position. Okay. Any other questions? Anyone? Grace, you have a question? Troy? No? All right. Okay, guys. So what we'll do is we'll end it off here. I'll give you the time to do it. So again, depending if you are in 003 or 018, same exact wording, same exact conversation. Please complete it for me. Okay. It's going to take probably half hour. Just find a random job. Okay. Tell me what your dream job is, your interest of it, what you like about it, and of course, what you're looking to get. Maybe they already have stuff available. Maybe they don't, who knows? But definitely you will see some benefits and you will have to decide, well, I'm willing to give up pay for benefits. I'm willing to give up, stock options for a higher raise. I'm willing to give up, maybe, Thursday and Friday so I can work Saturday, Sunday. Okay, something like that. Okay, so those are some areas you want to look for, and please get it to me as soon as possible. I'll give you the whole hour and a half right now to work on it, okay? This is the activity we'll do today. And if you need more time, I'll still give you time by next week. Sounds good? All clear? In here? Grace, yes. Can I get a chance to understand the in-class assignment? What did you miss out on? What did you miss out on?
I'm sorry.
Which area did you do you want me to explain?
Oh,
Were you following?
can I ask you repeat what
What area do you want me to repeat it?
because just a moment my internet is unstable, so I didn't
Okay.
get the
Do you want me to give you this video? Because I'm making this video. Are you in 08 or 018 or 003?
pardon me,
Which class, which section you're in?
which section?
Yes.
Okay,
So Grace, I want you to read it, analyze it, and then come back to me with questions about it.
okay,
Okay? Because regurgitating it again, we cannot do it. But please go to eCentennial, read it over, and then come back and ask me any questions you may have. Okay? Let me know where you're stuck at. So it's going on a website looking for a job. Tell me why you like the job. Tell me what your, what your benefits are looking for, what you're looking for in a company, and then what you're willing to negotiate.
okay, I got you.
Okay?
I got you.
All right, but let me know the questions that you're looking for that I can help you out in. Okay? I cannot give you the whole alphabet, but we can look at maybe B, C, and F here. Okay?
Okay.
So I want to make sure that you get the right questions here. There's about it's an in-class discussion. There's only about 3 different tasks here.
Okay, I
Okay.
will follow. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome. Anybody else? Anyone else? And please, guys, I will be here till 12:30. So any questions you have, just let me know and make sure that I can hopefully assist you with it. Okay? Anyone else? Going once? Going twice? Okay, so what we'll do right now is I'm going to just set up one thing in eCentennial, but please guys take a look at it. Please complete it for me and have it ready, and then we will be good to go. Okay, guys? So it was a very short and sweet class right now. Please make sure to complete it. Okay, you have roughly an hour and 15 minutes. I would say it takes about 30 minutes and you're done. Please look over it, complete it, and get it to me as soon as possible. Okay? Good luck.